Well, stuck down in the shed at the moment. It's not a bad place to be honest. I've got the Dirty 30 behind me. The shed is looking really mint. To be honest with you, I spent a lot of time down here. We're in a crazy world right now. The coronavirus, as everyone knows, it's not making things normal, that's for sure. But I'm getting a lot of time to fix a lot of projects and get amongst the shed. Been enjoying it, to be honest with you. And I've just got a little mate on the line. He's coming through right now. You there, mate?
Wait.
There he is. There he is. There he is. On the other side of Australia. Mate, cheers, eh?
Cheers, bro. Phew.
We'll call this Shed Beers 101.
This is how we have beers now, mate.
It's the world we're living in right now, and things are changing, but it doesn't stop one thing.
What's that?
Well, we're still bringing the best content 24/7 around the country, around the world, in fact, and nothing's going to stop us doing that, mate. So we are here online right now to basically connect with you guys. You see, we're living in a crazy time right now, but with technology, we're able to basically have a two-way communication stream with you guys. We're here on YouTube right now. Last night, of course, was the show, the $1,000 track. Graham, you remember that one, of course, mate. You're still washing the mud out of your beard, probably, mate.
Mate, I'll tell you what, to step back into the game and do the $1,000 track straight up.
What a way to kick off.
Yep.
Mate, that was an absolute cracking one. Now, tonight, folks, we're gonna be going through a few questions about the $1,000 track. You guys have seen it last night on YouTube. We're going to go through a few questions now. And also, we've got a stack of prizes to give away. So first up, I reckon let's have a look at some of the questions from the YouTube show.
I've got a question right here from Lachlan Friend. Hey, Lachlan, if you're watching right now, mate, you've got to do a virtual cheers these days.
Yeah, cheers to that, mate.
So Lachlan says, actually, it's a very good question, Lachlan. How does Sooty go temperature-wise with all the mud in the radiator? Shino, over to you, mate.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. That Tassie mud is next-level mud. So we're connoisseurs of the mud, to believe it or not. We've tested mud in every single state around the country, and I reckon I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Tassie mud is probably the worst of them all. Now, nothing clogs a radiator up like Tassie mud.
Yep.
So you guys saw us going through bog hole after bog hole after bog hole on that one. It was funny because we ended up spending 3 days on that track, maybe 4, by the time we got off.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a long time, and it took us nearly a day, like nearly half a day, to do that 26 Ks out of there because all the cars were overheating. So
can we give a bit of behind the scenes? I don't know if we're allowed to do that. What was the name of the pub we stayed in for 2 nights?
Yeah.
And cleaned the radiators out the back.
Waratah.
That's right. Waratah pub.
That's probably one of my favourite pubs in Tassie. That's
Agreed.
A bit of a segue. But
yeah.
How's that? When we got to the pub, and I asked the bloke, can I borrow a hose? Because our plan was to drop the radiators out of the vehicles and give them a bit of a clean. And he goes, do you boys just do the $1,000 track? It happens that often down this way that he's pretty used to people like camping up the back there and dropping radiators and hosing them out in his lawn. He actually got the gurney out and everything for us.
He knew it straight away. We did pay for that hose, though, in about 6,000 beers we bought over the bar. Hey, that was the place. That was the place where I decided I wanted to put the what was that cordial stuff?
Sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla in the beer.
Folks
at home, if you've done it before, if you tried sarsaparilla in your beer, it's the only pub I've really seen it was on the bar. You pour sarsaparilla in your beer, not too much, and it is, honestly, I thought it was superb. Really good.
You might as well pour lemonade in your beer, mate. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. I won't lie to you, mate. But
let's move on to the next question, shall we?
Absolutely.
This is one for you, mate. Gary Maloney.
Maloney.
Only be friendly right now.
What do you send Sean through first? Why don't you answer that, Graham?
Why do we send Sean? Okay. I can be totally honest and answer that in complete honesty and professionalism as well. You need to send the vehicle and the human that you least need in any convoy. You send them through first. That way, if they break down, it's no great loss to the convoy or morale, spirit. So
No, that's fair enough. Also, I might add as well that Sooty is one of the more capable rigs in the convoy, so it's a good one to send through first, because if it completely balls up...
Breaking up with that bit you just said there, I didn't get it.
It didn't come through. But yeah, look, I go through a lot, and sometimes it actually works in my favour when we're going up some of those clay hills, and it's usually the first car will get the best run up there, and I think, yes, that's so good. And there's other times where you jump into something that you shouldn't have, and you go, oh, bugger, I shouldn't have been the first one.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I hand for the camera crew. The blokes, they get up first. They're always filming, and then they're the first ones just to have a get up. This is a gnarly bog hole. They're the first ones just to jump into it.
Have a go.
Get stuck. Yep, good on them. Good on them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Another question.
Yeah, what do you got?
How did you break your arm, Graham? Oh, should I answer that for you, mate?
Oh well, you'll make something up. I'll tell the truth, but you go first. Yeah, sure.
Because Graham's obviously had his arm in a sling for a little while. He's had what do you call it? Little bit of wristitis or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the medical terms. I'm not a doctor, mate. But
your wrist, mate. Your wrist is totally fine. That works a treat, mate. Look at it.
Oh, your arm. So obviously, Graham has been on a couple of internet sites. I won't name them right here, but he's holy heck, he's got himself a bit of an injury, and look, it's followed through for a fair while. That's all I know of it. And Graham, you might want to elaborate, mate. Don't go into actual HTTP www.
I won't. Not true. I fell off my bike.
Fell off his bike, but yeah, look, that put you out for a little bit. You couldn't actually drive a car for a little bit, which
no, mate. It's just gone 3 months, and she's still not right. Have a look at that. She's still not right. So I fell off my mountain bike. And
is that your right arm?
Yes, my right arm.
You've got some very strong definition in that wrist on the right arm there. You've been working out.
Well, mate, you got to make do, don't you? We're in quarantine, mate. We're in lockdown. And
that's
what
fantastic.
happens in lockdown stays in lockdown, mate.
That's fantastic. Here we go. Do front lockers really work in the mud?
Oh, come on. I'll take anything I can get, mate. In Tassie mud.
Yeah, look, I'm undecided with that. Do lockers work in the mud? I think if the mud hole's deep enough, you're not going to get through no matter what you throw at it. But if you get onto one of those...
Having every wheel spinning
is
the thing.
It's going to help you. If you're on one of those bog holes where lockers will be the difference between you getting through or not getting through, every bit of traction's going to help, isn't it?
I think so, personally. So, look, if you're doing a lot of mud work, I think size of tyre is more important than lockers. But if you're doing a lot of mud work, why? Mud's horrible stuff. It's horrible stuff.
Speak for yourself, mate. We do a fair bit of it.
We certainly do, and I would have a front locker every day if I could. Absolutely. Should we do some rapid fire questions, mate? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go on. Hit me.
All right. We got Max Butler. Why don't we see more of the camera car? I think we should. It's a Nissan.
I was going to say that's probably the reason we don't put it in there, mate. But look, we don't because those guys usually go first and get in a position so they can film us coming through.
Yeah,
that's the nuts and bolts of it, really.
That's the bottom. Okay, I like this guy's username is Yeah Brother. Yeah Brother. Best way or tips to clean Forbies after a run on the tracks. Well, yeah, brother, I'd use water out of a hose, mate.
It's true, though. Get in early.
Yeah.
Like if you let it coat and you go into a 40-degree day the next day, you need a chisel and a hammer to get that stuff off. So get in early. You take it off the tracks. Do it straight away if you can help it.
Here's a question for you. How long does it take to get through the distance that is shown on the episode and how far is? Well, let's not talk about how far it is. I reckon, what do you reckon, Sean? I reckon it takes us, with the filming, twice as long.
4 times as long?
Yeah, okay.
It takes a bit. It takes a bit. Because like, we've got to set cameras up and stuff like that. So if you were just to go on a weekend drive, you'd probably do... Look, if you had 2 real capable vehicles, you'd probably do the $1,000 track in a day if you didn't stuff it up and break something.
Agreed, mate, agreed. And we were on there for 4 days.
Yeah, but we broke the everything and had a camera.
We did break the everything, yeah. So, okay, so 3 to 4 times as long.
Yeah.
Roughly speaking.
Yeah.
So there you go, Steve. There you go. Whoa, hang on. This is a bit hardcore. Do you fake any scenarios?
Well, you know what?
Any scenario.
It's a funny question, but we've been asked this a lot. Like, some people have an opinion that, you know, like when we finish for a day, a helicopter comes down with meals and things like that. No, we're in the bush by ourselves doing the toughest tracks in Australia. It's real. There's no ifs or buts about it. It's the real deal. And I suppose we probably break more things. We get bogged more than just about any other crew out there, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I haven't got time to fake things, mate. It's hard enough just making the show. I don't want to be faking anything.
If I was to fake things, I'd fake not getting stuck way more.
Exactly. If we could cut that out, that'd be fantastic for all of us involved. All right, we're moving on. We're doing rapid fire. Kangatube and others. Oh, there's been a few of these. So there's been quite a few of these questions. They think they have to wait a month for the next episode. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. We're bringing it up next week.
Yeah.
Next week we've got the next one coming up, so you don't have to wait.
That's the part 2 of the Tassie track.
Part 2.
If you thought this week was tough and was full of action, next week we'll blow your socks off because the next part of it, we thought we were nearly out of the clear. Oh, actually, no, we weren't because we had a broken car. We were in the deepest of trouble at this particular moment, but it got worse from here on end, and you'll see that next week. Yeah,
things did not go to plan. Oh, you know what? Here's the funny thing. Up until that point, I thought, yeah, it's a tough track. It's not that hard. Like, it's no big deal. Next minute. Next minute. It all just went pear-shaped.
I don't want to give away too much, Graham, but yep. You remember it'll be in the next episode where we just got that Raptor sort of back on the track and we were debating whether or not to leave it there full time.
Yeah.
And we were just basically, we called over the radio every man for themselves just to see if we can make a camp because it was like 11 o'clock at night. We were just like, remember there was a big bog hole and the camera car was way off in the distance.
Way in front.
And we were just like, if we can find a place that's half flat to camp on, that's us.
That's honestly, folks, that's for you guys to see on the next episode. However, why don't we go through the next segment of this little show we're doing, and I like to call it our highlights. So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna pick my highlight. For me, it was coming back, obviously, back to the brotherhood, into the fold. But more importantly, being able to share the cockpit with Jocko was a heck of a thing, mate.
I bet, mate.
Young bloke. He's just learning how to wheel. You know, he's a bit nervous. You know, he hasn't done too many tough tracks in his time.
I'm sure.
He's a bit awkward. I don't think he even knows what girls are yet. You know, he's just finding that out.
He's just having a go.
Yeah, just sit in that cab there with him and tell him a few things about life. Teach him how to wheel. If he was here right now, he'd pick me up and throw me over there. No, that was a highlight for me. Hanging out with Jocko was good fun.
You know, one of my highlights. There was so many from that trip, but one of my highlights was definitely. I guess it's a bit of a behind the scenes thing. We alluded to it before, but the camera car goes first on a lot of tracks. And for me, there was one particular scene in that show you saw last night that there was a big, long, straight bog hole. We all got stuck. We had to get winched several times, changed the direction of the winch, and we came really close to a stump that was there. Now, on a wider shot of that bog hole, there was actually another way around, which was shorter, but it had a hard dog leg on it. And the camera crew went through first. They went through real hard and got really, really stuck and tried to winch, but then it started winching up against the bank and they ripped both their flares off and it got really heavy. For me, that was a bit of a highlight and it was good not to go first in that particular circumstance, just to see that happen. And they couldn't – this is the problem. I don't know if it's a Nissan thing or whatever, but they couldn't get their stereo to turn off. They had some jazz playing like pretty loud. Remember that? Yes. And we weren't quite prepared. We didn't have all the recovery gear ready, and those guys were stressing out. There's water all through the camera car. Remember, they've got like tens of thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment in that vehicle, trying to find the winch. Oh, who's got the winch controller? And then
I was on that log up above, and I looked down at Dawes through the window, and he's just got zippity, 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 scat, 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 zippity, 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 playing through the window. There's water coming in. He's stressed out. I've got one arm. I'm useless. So, yeah, you're right. I'm going to share that highlight. That was a cracker.
That was good, mate. That was good. That's part of what happens, though, behind the scenes. You don't get to see a lot of that. And we'd love to film it all, but we literally don't have time. We can't. No, we can't. Filming through to the dark every night, and there's some good stuff that happens behind the scenes, let me tell you. Some
of it you can't see, to be honest. There's some career enders in there. But
exactly right. Exactly right.
Mate, can we move on, if that's okay with you?
Yep.
Because this is a time when everyone, really, you and I, everyone, spending time in our sheds. We're working on our pride and joy.
Or works of art, if you want to.
Well, yeah, we can talk about works of art. You're right, we can. Everyone is at home right now, and they're doing a lot of DIY. I've been doing a bit of DIY. I know you have as well.
Yep.
We put a bit of a question out, and we've got a few people out there that are really working and making the most, I guess, of this time in isolation. It's unprecedented, man, what's going on right now. It's freaking crazy. But
yeah,
a lot of people are putting in a lot of effort right now to work on their trucks. We've gone through, and we've picked a few people we'd like to call out that we found on the internet, one of which, I don't know if this is a lady or a man, I'm not sure, but Desert Rose Adventures 2, Mum and Dad and a 12-year-old son are restoring, this actually sounds pretty sick, even from a dyed-in-the-wool Nissan man, restoring a 1971 FJ40 with the time they've got over Easter. Now, I'd like to say to them, you're going to need more than Easter, Tiger. You're going to need a fair bit of time to restore the thing.
You will, and I've seen it as well, mate. It's an absolute cracker. And
you've seen it, have you?
I have. I've seen it. It looks like a little weapon. Get that going. I'll tell you what, that'll be a little forward drive you'll keep forever. And you guys are going to win a prize as well, because everyone who has entered this competition, we've had it up on Instagram and Facebook. You're going to win yourself a Red Arc Smart Charge battery charger. Now, I've got one in my shed, mate, and Graham, you should have one too, mate, because your trucks never leave the shed, so you can keep those batteries topped up, mate, so you can do Instagram posts and stuff like that.
You're breaking up again. It's terrible.
But no, they're a great bit of kit from Red Arc. I'll tell you what, I've got one in the shed here, and I use it a fair bit because I just keep those batteries topped up just like you wouldn't believe. And we go for another prize, mate. We'll go a second prize.
Yeah. Well, how about Sarah? I don't know how to say her surname. Sarah, can you see that word?
Yeah, Hellemes.
Is it Hellemes?
Yeah, Sarah Hellemes. You're going to be talking about the GU.
Yep. She's got a Easter project to replace the exhaust on the GU. And she's called it a kettle.
You should probably take notes, mate. You should take notes.
Go over to Sean, because you can't call your truck a kettle. It's not a kettle.
No, that's look. At least you're honest about yourself, Sarah, and put an exhaust on that thing. It'll be a good thing. Actually, Graham needs to do that in his GU. Graham, your exhaust in your GU's got holes in it bigger than your fist, mate.
Dude, it's savage. I really need to put a new exhaust on it. If I could, I'd move over there and show you, because it's right there. I've got holes like that in my exhaust. It's terrible. Yeah. So, Sarah, I feel you. I should be doing the same thing, but I'm making a canopy at the back here. You wait till you see this. Absolutely superb.
Look, Sarah, a little bit of a tip. Sorry, just quickly. I hope you've been putting WD-40 on all those bolts around that GU exhaust for the last 12 months or so, because then you'll have half a chance of getting them out. But
mate, where the bolts don't come out, Ron does, mate. Don't you worry about that. We'll get him off. Next, we've got someone else down there who's putting a lot of time in. Is it Johan? Is that how you pronounce that name?
Johan Dreyer.
Dreyer, yep. Well, actually, he's a man close to my heart. He's been using the time off to transform his ex-mine cruiser. Johan, I hope you've been looking for rust. Ex-mine cruiser. From white to sandy taupe using Raptor. Now, I know a couple of blokes with some seedy credentials that have done a very similar thing. It does look pretty cool. You haven't put Raptor on the bodywork of that, though, have you?
No, just on the bar work. But on Sooty, obviously, I've done the full Raptor coating.
Whole thing. Yeah. Yep. So, Johan, I hope that's worked out well for you, and I hope you have more success with the ladies than he has after doing it.
Look, that's a good thing about Raptor, though. It's a great thing to do at home in your driveway, because it's actually easy to spray on. Like, I'm not a spray painter by any means. As a spray painter, I'm a pretty good fisherman, but you can actually spray it because it's quite easy. I did some of the bar work. I did the chassis on that thing in the tray, and with a bit of help, of course, but it came up pretty good.
And you did you use the air compressor to do the majority of that work?
We don't need to. That's a cool thing. I didn't use an air compressor I used a big one, like a big air compressor, but anything you can get from Supercheap or something. But they give you like an applicator with the kit, and you just literally screw the Raptor with the applicator, and it's got its own gun, and it just comes out so easy because it's not that fine. Yep. You can get away with spraying just about anything, and it looks absolutely mint, it's really good on your truck.
I've done to do my canopy. I've done a few because I use the rattle cans on the canopy. And I can't spray paint to save my freaking life. But it looks like a professional has done it. Can't wait for you to see it. It looks, it's like a disco in there. It's all dark and seedy.
Looks pretty good from far, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
50
but look, Joan, Sarah, and Desert Road Adventures, you guys have won yourself a Red Arc Smart Charge battery charger. And they are a great bit of kit. Yeah, all of them. One each. That's what we're doing, mate. We're giving prizes away. This is what we do here. We're interacting with our audience. This is so good about YouTube is you can have a two-way communication stream. You guys have just watched our video last night, and here we are talking about it now and answering your questions almost live. So I reckon that's pretty cool. So
I'm putting a question in tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly right. You can do with a charger, mate. That's for sure. Your rigs.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, you're right, though. This is using technology smart, and it's about being able to communicate with the folks that at home right now, and we're no different to them. We're doing exactly the same things. We're working on our rigs right now. I'm sitting down the shed, rain's coming down, and it's the same for those guys out there at home right now that aren't able to get out. This is Easter. Ordinarily, my little town would be flooded with people. Just kind of sucks that we can't. But what we can do, we can all keep in touch.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Right, folks, this has been an absolute blast. I've enjoyed myself having a beer with all you guys. Graham, you included, mate. Cheers, buddy. Mate, and look, if you guys are wondering, how do I win awesome prizes with Full Drive Action? Well, we're here for you guys 24/7. So whatever you do, just keep an eye on Instagram because that's where we're going to be putting all the competitions out there. And there's going to be some crackers coming up, let me tell you that.
And I'll tell you what, Sean, if you've enjoyed this, and I have too, we might not get to actually have a beer together for another month or I don't know how long it's going to be. But if you've enjoyed this, and I'd like everyone just to hang on because we've got a massive announcement coming up, huge announcement coming up. Can I give a little bit of a hint? I'm going to say one thing, 24/7. That's all I'm going to say. We've got a big announcement coming up. And if you enjoyed this, put your seatbelt on.
I reckon tonight's going to be a little bit of a hint of what's coming up because we're going to be doing a lot more of this sort of stuff. And I guess I also I want to say a quick thank you to, I guess, all the people. The times are tough at the moment, and there's been a lot of people that have been going above and beyond right now that are behind the scenes, not getting a heck of a lot of credit. I'm talking about the nurses. I'm talking about the doctors. I'm talking about all the emergency service crew out there. Guys, we want to make a big thank you from Full Drive Action. You guys are keeping this country going and the rest of the world going. In fact, you guys are on the front line of all this. We're just sitting back in our sheds working on, absolute works of art, if you let me, to be honest with you guys. But I want to say a big thank you from all of us. And, we really mean that too.
Personal one, is that all right? Can I do a personal one?
Yep.
Can I say to Joe, Jess, and Chris, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I know it's tough at the moment, but they're nurses, by the way. Keep going because you're doing a bloody good job. Hang in there, chin up. You're legends in my eyes. I couldn't do what you're doing. So, guys, when it all clears up, I might buy you a beer. See how I feel. But no, seriously, you're free. You're a pair of legends. You're absolute legends, and thank you so much for what you're doing.
This is the one place you're going to get the best forward driving content 24/7. So whatever you do, make sure you subscribe to the Full Drive Action channel and make sure you leave us a comment as well. If you like what you saw tonight, you want to see a little bit more of us, just to get in the shed. Make sure when you look at the next one of these, you're in your shed with a beer and come and have a virtual beer with Graham and myself, because I tell you what, you folks make this all possible and help us get through these tough times.
True, mate. I'm about to sign off. I'm going to go and have a pork chop for dinner, or maybe some lamb. I'll see how I feel. But to you, my friend, I will virtually say cheers, and I'll catch you in a couple of days online. Cheers, bro.
Mate.